This is a test. Can you hear me now when I'm looking down? Don't have a cow! Okay. Hello, Gazbot here. I am now diving into a box of old comics. I previously did a series of old artwork of mine that I got from my mom, who recently moved near me and brought some things that I thought I had everything from. That I thought everything I owned was in my house, but at this point, no, there was still a few things. And there were a couple comic long boxes which got condensed into a Tupperware, which may have damaged them a little bit, but it looks like most of them have bags and boards. Anyway, I'm opening it. I have not looked at this since I got it, other than I can see this was on top. And this is all going to be 90s or earlier, and this should give you an idea. This was when the special edition Star Wars... Oh, looks like 3 gift bags that were on sale for the 3 movies with Drew Struzan art that were saved. There's nothing in them but bags, so there's that. And I'm just going to dive into the comics. Now, I believe this will be mostly late 80s, early 90s, or maybe some other stuff mixed in. What I'm hoping, expecting to find is a pretty semi-complete run of the Marvel Transformers comics. Other than that, there's probably some crummy Image and Valiant, maybe some decent Marvel. There is a slim chance that there's some key X-Men books in here, like maybe the first appearance of Gambit. There's like a really low chance I got a first appearance of Deadpool, because I did have that, but I might have lost it. So anyway, here we go. All right. Superboy, 90s. Spawn, okay. Actually, I don't mind having my original Spawns. I doubt they're worth anything. Oh, there's a little bit of an older Daredevil. Excalibur, later in the run, not in good shape. That looks like something I may have bought from a 50-cent bin later on. Oh, more Excalibur. Okay, I guess I might have a chunk of my Excalibur run. I had a semi-complete Excalibur run. Around the time, I guess Alan Davis, I don't know when he left it, but there was a period after he left that I kept collecting for a while. But yeah, you can see the art was definitely suffering, and I just kind of kept buying it. Madeira, that's a nice cover. Madeira, I don't know. A lot of Excalibur. Okay, let me tilt my camera down. Like this. Move that up a little bit right there. Okay, let me flip it over this way. Oh yeah, so this is just a lot of Excalibur, looks like. Here, let me flip it that way so you guys can see. Ooh, Excalibur. Can you focus? There we go. Just tons of late day original run Excalibur. Okay, now we're going backwards, so you can see we're getting back into the 60s. Not the 60s like the time period, but the number 60, 59. All right, so going by that, this will probably be a lot of Excalibur in this next handful I grabbed too. And indeed it is. But 13, so that's like very early Excalibur. So I guess this is, let me do it this way. This is just like a lot of Excalibur. I kind of thought I had my Excalibur run, or, ooh, that one got folded in not such a nice way. Oh, okay. So Excalibur is good, but Excalibur is kind of like Transformers, where it's a personal favorite of mine that I'm happy to have, but I'm down, I'm going to sell it or anything. I don't plan on selling my X-Men, but this is Extinction Agenda. This is around... I kept collecting a bit after Extinction Agenda, but it was stuff I didn't like, and I came back to it a few times. But this was towards the end of my original X-Men collecting. I was more of a Silvestri fan than a Jim Lee fan, which I know puts me in the minority, but again, that's sort of when I collected. Here's a very old Batman. I wasn't into DC Comics as a kid. I had some, but I was like definitely a Marvel fanboy. But around the time the Batman movie came out, I had some comic friends that were like, "You're crazy, get more Batman." And I think this is a little after that, but I definitely picked up some Batman because of that. Okay, here's another X-Men. Here's an X-Men. Uncanny X-Men. This, I feel like this is the first appearance of somebody. I feel like I had 2 copies of this for some reason. I think, is that Will Portacio art? Yeah. Another X-Men. Another Excalibur. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have a lot of X-Men and Excalibur in here, which I thought I'd have some X-Men. Didn't think about Excalibur at all. Remove this box. All right, you know what? I'm going to grab a handful from the other end to see what we got here. Okay, X-Factor. It's funny because, like, X-Factor had a couple incarnations, but the original one is the one I like that had the classic X-Men, which was my introduction to the classic X-Men because I didn't read them back in the day. And then this sort of reboot that had Jamie Madrox and Strong Guy and Polaris and all that. So that's like the other one I always think of. Some more X-Men, Wolverine, X-Men, a lot of 90s X-Men. Oh, some Hellblazer. That's cool. I thought I got rid of all my Hellblazer. My friend Keith was a bigger Hellblazer fan than I was, and I remember trading him a bunch of Vertigo comics, including a lot of Hellblazer, for a bunch of like Transformers and other 80s toys. New universe. I am one of the few people that is actually a fan of the universe, so this will go in my new universe collection. I'm going to separate this from the rest, actually. So far, nothing too shocking. Flash. I thought I had all my Flash comics. Quasar. Both, again, Quasar not necessarily worth anything, but a personal collection that I plan on keeping. I do have a huge chunk of Flash already that I thought was still there. Power Pack I enjoyed as a kid. I don't know why I'm making piles. They don't mean anything. Okay, here's the first. Okay, here's a couple Transformers. 11, 12, 16. So this is the beginning of hopefully a good Transformers run. I will make a Transformers ball. How about that? Does that make sense? Sure. Daredevil. I always like John Romita Jr. on Daredevil the best. His art to me is very hit and miss. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I think he's a great artist that doesn't always put the time in. But I think a lot of people's favorite Daredevil artist is probably Frank Miller or, I don't know, did Steranko work on it? Regardless, John Romita Jr. was always my favorite. So that makes sense that I saved a couple of his. This is from Inferno, too, which was not my... I guess it was like one of the first big crossovers, not the first. But I was young enough and it was new enough that it blew my mind that, like, oh my gosh, demons are everywhere. And they're in all the different books. How can this be happening? Transformers vs. G.I. Joe. Okay, awesome. Oh, I always love this cover. They made Ratchet such a cool character in the comics to me. So, okay, so we got some more Transformers. The upside is I'm going to get a nice Transformers collection. The downside is it's going to highlight the few issues I'm missing, and they're probably not as cheap as they once were. Okay, another Daredevil. Oh, I don't even remember having this. Daredevil, Spider-Man, Soul of the Hunter. Was this like a sequel to Kraven's Last Hunt? James DeMatteis, Mike Six. It looks like the same creative team. Yeah, I think this was like a sequel. I must have read this. I say not remembering it at all, but that's interesting because, you know, I, like most people, was a huge fan of Kraven's Last Hunt. And this does not want to go back in the back. All right, there we go. Flutes. Okay, more Transformers. Transformers the movie, which isn't, you know, something I particularly was excited. I mean, I'll put them in my collection, but these ones are the ones I'm more interested in. This was a classic cover. It was crazy because it was like this painted cover out of nowhere. And it was like, yeah, 5 issues into this kid's cartoon spinoff, and it's like, all are dead. It's like, wow. The Transformers and the G.I. Joe cartoon both were way more sophisticated and mature than the cartoons. Not that I didn't love the cartoons. Here is a Todd McFarlane Quasar cover, which, even at the time, I'm like, this doesn't quite work, Todd. I don't know why. Okay, so more Quasar for my Quasar. There's a lot more personal favorites in here than I thought there would be. I thought a lot of this was already lost or put into the collection that I possess at the moment. Well, this will also be the collection I possess, but you know what I mean. Some more Power Pack. Oh, Transformers. Honestly, I have a pile that's like Transformers. Nice. Now I'm having a pile that's Quasar. And then I have like the X-Men Excalibur pile and like 4 other piles, which again, I don't know what the difference is, but I'm piling. Oh, this is instructions for a Power of the Force 2 snow speeder, which I still have, but the bottom is melted because at some point it was placed on a lamp to make it look like it was flying, and it like got a concave melt where the bulb was, so that's lovely. But, you know, it still works, and I still have it all these years later. Okay, more Transformers. Yeah, they had this cool Blaster storyline, I remember. Power Pack, Inferno Power Pack. That's a cool cover. Who did the art on that? B&B, Brett Blevins, maybe? John Bogdanovich. Bogdanov. Some artist I know, and I've seen their art forever, but I've never even attempted to say their name out loud. And I realize how wrong I am. But yeah, I guess that's also him. It's a cool cover. All right, some more Transformers Night. Oh, that's Headmasters, but still, whatever. That'll go in the pile. Headmaster Transformers. More, much more than meets the eye. All right, let's see what we got here. This might be another multi-part sort of video if it has to be. All right, more X Factor. I'm just going to blast through some of these. Oop, no, I'm not, because Batman, Mike Mignola cover. That's cool. All right, so I have a Batman pile. No, I have a Spawn and Batman pile. It has 2 issues of Spawn and 2 issues of Batman. That's a pile for some reason. I semi have a Power Pack pile going on, and I semi have a Daredevil pile. I probably have other stuff mixed in. Hey, speaking of Power Lords. With art by, if I remember right, Mark Texeira. Yeah, and is that Dick Giordano? Not on the inside, but it is Mark Texeira. I I had these figures as a kid, and I had at least one of these comics as a kid, and it's one of those things where years later I went back and I'm like, oh, Mark Teixeira, I know him as an artist now, and like, it's kind of like seeing an actor in a bit part that becomes famous, and then you see that movie again, and you're like, oh, that, how did I not know that? But of course, why would I know that? I didn't know artists at all, and they weren't famous at that time either. Another Quasar, and another Daredevil. I remember there was a Daredevil story. I don't know if this is part of it. The Daredevil looks kind of stiff. It's like a good composition, but just a weirdly drawn Daredevil. Where Black Cat and Sabretooth were in it. And I remember Black Cat had like scratched Sabretooth's face. And because of his healing factor, it was healing really fast. But he was like in the hospital and he had bandages. And it was a thing where, over the course of a day or two, he fully healed from these horrible lacerations, which is an incredible power. But power creep being what it is, nowadays, he could get like slashed through the heart and be like, okay, in 5 minutes. Like slash it, like with Wolverine, they like heal that kind of wound instantaneously. So it's just funny that at the time, I remember that I was like, wow, he's healing so fast. Some Grey Hulk, some Firestorm. Oh, okay. Let me put these in this random no pile. This, I specifically remember buying this issue of Transformers. It was one of the last. I forget if it ended on 81, maybe. And I remember getting this at a comic store in Red Bank, New Jersey that was in like this indoor mall. I want to say it was Fantasy Zone Comics. I usually got my comics from Toy Masters, but one of the times I went there, I got this. And I remember I was with my friend... I won't say his name. I never know if I should say people's names. I was with my friend, and his dad picked us up, which was random, and drove us back to where we lived. And it was, I don't know, it was just like a weird day. Like I was at a comic store I don't normally go to, hanging out with a friend that didn't collect comics, and then his father, who had never ever given us a ride, gave us a ride. And I was a teenager too. It wasn't even like we were little kids. I don't know. It's just a weird memory that unlocked. 80. Okay, so Transformers. But so far, so good. Oh, look at this. These were some of the gimmick covers that I kept, I guess. The glow-in-the-dark Mark Teixeira, Ghost Rider. And this, I guess it's not really a gimmick, but this bright green Hulk. Excuse me. There's a little bit of, I don't know if it's dust or what, but I'm like getting a little Klempo over here. Throw those jams. I don't know if any of this is worth anything, to be honest. I feel like most of these are not worth a ton in terms of cash value. I mean, to me, they're worth keeping, a lot of them. But okay, Dinobots introduction. How long have we been going here? 12 minutes. All right, I'll go a little bit longer. This might have to be a multi-part series, though. More Transformers, nice, and more Quasar. So a lot of Transformers and a lot of Quasar, and a lot of Excalibur. Boots and Jammers. 66. I did see 80. I saw 80. I don't remember if I saw 81. Did I already pass it? Hold on, let me go back. 80. Oh. Issue 80 was the final issue of Transformers, and it was cool because it said issue 80 of a 4-issue limited series or something like that, because that's originally what it was supposed to be. So I thought that was a fun little nod. Some of the art at the end of Transformers was weird. Like, who did this art? I can't read it, but it's like very off model, and like it's like a cool kind of horror cover, but then it's weird cartoony human face. It's just like, what is happening? That's a very old school kind of cover. I like that. This was a horrifying storyline that was very good. Yeah, Transformers was a very interesting comic, especially as a kid that hadn't, it was like a lot of mature and weird ideas that hadn't been exposed to in other media yet. These are all Transformers. Yeah, I'm really happy about the early Transformers and these late Transformers, because I feel like those are the ones that are hard to get, the late ones too. Because there was less of a print run, and I know I got these for cover or less back in the day, and I don't know what they go for now. Maybe they're only $5 or something, but I'd hate to have to spend that. Ooh, this feels weird. Why does this feel weird? I thought it was like is it a glow-in-the-dark cover? Ooh. Oh, this is the conclusion of Maximum Carnage. This might have gotten has something on it. It's not like gross. It feels like powdery. I don't know. And more Maximum Carnage, more Ghost Rider. That's Jim Lee Ghost Rider. Spidey. Alright, I'm going to have to do some sorting. This will go into that pile. Let's see, we're at 14 minutes. I'm not going to go too much longer. Okay, more Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. Yeah, again, I don't know if I knew I had these in here. Some Eric Larson Spider-Man, some McFarlane Spider... Oh, I remember it was like X-Force. There was like a crossover with him and Rob Liefeld. Sleepwalker. That was another personal favorite. Sleepwalker, Dan Ketch Ghost Rider, Michael Collins Deathlock that was like rebooted in the 90s, and there's one other character, Darkhawk, were like a little... They all came out around the same time. They all had #1 issues. It was like post-Image. It was like oh, these are like my guys. I'm jumping in on the ground floor. Like I was a real big fan of all of those. And I have now Marvel Legends had just released a Sleepwalker figure, and I'm looking for a Spider-Man pile, but I don't have one. And previous to that, I did get the Deathlock and Darkhawk. I have a Ghost Rider, but it's not a great Dan Ketch Ghost Rider. But I like that I have that little group. There's Goldbug and Blaster. They were a fun little team. Goldbug and Blaster, for some reason, were like a little duo for a while, and I like that. That was the other thing in Transformers. It would like go all over and focus on different characters, which was cool. It wasn't just like Optimus Prime and the 8 Autobots you see in the cartoon. They're more Maximum Carnage, more Transformers. The Scraplets. That was another... Wait, is that Scraplets? I thought it was. Oh, no, this is Scraplets. It was sort of like this virus that ate metal. It was like terrifying. And then they found out the cure, spoilers, was water, which is plentiful on Earth, but they were in like a desert, and it was cool. All right, lots and lots of Transformers. It's going to be really fun to go through and see what issues I'm actually missing, because I feel like it's going to be very few. I feel like it's going to be 10 or less out of the 80. More Transformers, and again, more late. That art I don't love. It's got a certain charm to it, but it doesn't sort of fit my idea of what that I remember not liking at all. I think this was adapted from a Transformers UK story. Circuit Breaker, such a cool character. All right, let's keep going here. That is a horrible, horrible Starscream. Yuck. Fort Max. Oh, I have a duplicate of that Circuit Breaker comic. Okay. Here's another Will Portacio, X-Men. There's Bishop. I might have a first appearance of Bishop. Not that I know if that's worth anything, but that might be one of these comics. I don't remember what the cover looks like, but I definitely know I had it. Oh, Excalibur. Okay. And Excalibur. Lots of Excalibur. Good. Excalibur, I should have a complete run up into a certain point, and then like at a certain issue, I have no more, but I should have no gaps there at all until I get to that point. All right, I think I'm going to finish out this one little row I'm working on, and then we'll do a part 2. I don't think it's going to need to be 5 parts like the last one, especially when I get to parts like this where I can just blow through a bunch of Excalibur. Okay. Holy cow. Okay. And I got 2 more handfuls in this row. I remember not like... Oh, this was... Wait, is this... Yeah, this is the regular issue. I remember disliking this artist. Especially because it was so different from what we had seen before. It wasn't even, like, in the ballpark. Spider-Man 2099, that's cool. Oh, Alpha Flight, that's another book that I had a big run of that probably isn't a fan favorite or worth a lot. And a lot of these later issues, again, had, like, weird art and introduced characters that didn't really fit, but, like, I stuck with it for a while. What If Spider-Man kept the power... I did like What If. I was a big fan of What If, even though I didn't love the show. And I think part of the reason I didn't like the show, well, A, I didn't like the animation style. And it is dusty. But B, my favorite What Ifs were like way out there, and I feel like some of the episodes of What If, the Marvel animated show I'm talking about on Disney Plus, were a little bit out there, but some were just like, what if Sharon Carter was Captain America? And it's like, oh, this is kind of similar, and like I always liked the ones that were more like, what if Storm was a vampire and then decided to fight Punisher, but George Washington was there? Like, those were the ones I liked, not the, what if Mary Jane became Spider-Man instead? It's like, oh, it's basically the same story. There's The Fly from Impact Comics. I had a bunch of Impact Comics. Again, this was late after Image. Like, everybody just started rebooting stuff and making number ones, their own imprint. And I had a bunch of Impact. The only one I think I really liked was The Fly. I'm going to put him in that pile. Why? Because... I think I have a duplicate of that one we saw earlier, too. Okay, so the X-Men could go there. And then I'll put that there. A little Spidey, Alpha Flight. All right, last chunk, and then we're going to end this video. Bloots. More Transformers, I think that might be a duplicate. Yeah, that's a duplicate. I definitely think I might have picked up some of these comics either in a chunk or not realizing. I always liked the way this Skids was drawn. I don't know why. I think this, again, might be adapted from a UK comic, but, like, I don't know. Like, I always liked Skids, and I'm not sure exactly why. I mean, I had the figure as a kid, but he was barely in the cartoon. He turned into a minivan, but he had kind of a cool design with, like, a big boxy top and extra guns. And I've seen a few drawings of him where there's, like, really long arms, and that, for some reason, appealed to me. Issue 1, nice. And it's not in terrible shape. I mean, it's not mint, but why are these all sticking to each other? Weird. And this is with the issue 3 when Spider-Man was in it, because it is established that the Transformers are in the regular Marvel Universe, although it doesn't come up very often. Okay, there's another Bishop. Oh, the original Excalibur special edition book that predated issue 1, but here's issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are the good ones here. Inferno. All right, yeah, all this stuff, this was like, the beginning was like the best. And it maintained quality for a while and then slowly started going downhill. Okay, I got some more racks in another bag, but we're at like 20 minutes. The whole monitor just slid down. So we're going to call it for now. Yeah, this probably isn't going to be as interesting as the old art stuff, but like I said, I got to go through it anyway, so why not film it, and then you can enjoy it or not. There'll be at least one more part. I doubt there'll be a part 3, but I'm going to go for now. I've been Gazbot. Thanks for sitting with me. Thanks for sitting with me, unless you're standing, in which case, thanks for standing with me. Laying down is also okay.